If you guys have never seen one of these, this is a very cool piece. So working on the 95 Mustang with the 302, last year of OBD1. So how can you scan codes? Well, you could use a test light, or if you have access to this, I don't personally own this, but look at this. I'm gonna have to read through the instruction manual because there's a bunch of stuff in this NGS or Ford Star tester, whatever they call it. Because when I worked at the Ford dealer 2016 and 17, they had, you know, laptops with basically a computer you'd hook up to check stuff on the car. But this is old school. This is something I'm gonna have to learn about here in order to get good use out of it. My coworker, he has this. He's let me borrow it a few times and show me a few of the basics, but I'm gonna have to get into this. And I guess it does have OBD2 diagnostics for 96 and beyond cars, but very cool stuff here. I'm gonna have to check this out. They do have a check engine light on for the 95 Mustang, and it's been running a little rough, especially at watt. It starts to fall on its face, loss of power, so I can check out what's going on with this guy. This was the premier technology back in the 90s. OBD2 compatible, and I can hook this up. And for your newer cars, OBD2, you go in under the dash usually. But on OBD1 cars, or this Mustang in particular, my connection is actually out here in the engine bay. So, very interesting stuff. So we'll hook it up and see what's up. This video will do a key on, engine off test in order to pull the codes, any stored codes on this 95 Mustang GT manual transmission. So we have the control units, we have the vehicle interface module. So we'll go ahead and connect those up, or I can just do that like so. And you have a boundary line right in there. This it sticks up, you can feel with your finger. You want that to go all the way, almost flush with the control unit. That way you know it's plugged all the way in. You have a slot here, and we can input one of two cards. We have a Ford NGS diagnostic card, which we'll be using for this video, or you have a Ford NGS service card to do things like service bleed, key reprogramming, module configuration, fuel economy. We'll see what those other service features are in another video. But you'll take your card, and with the arrow facing towards the control unit, you slide in, it'll click into place. And then you can lay it in a spot. It does have a spot where you could put in a hook, and then you could hook it from up there on the hood or somewhere where you can access it and it's out of the way, but you definitely don't want it near any moving component, especially when you do a key on engine running test. And then we have our 5-prong DCL cable, which runs to our OBD1 connector in the engine bay. And you can see I have the bigger connector plugged into the main receiver in the engine bay, and then the smaller one right here, I have the 5th pin plugged in right there. Keys in the ignition, do key on. Take your power cord, that's also plugged into your NGS scan tool, plug it in. Now we should have power to the unit. Okay, perfect, which we do. So we'll do a vehicle and engine selection. We'll hit trigger, and I already have it preset, but if you wanted to select a new one, you would take your dial, shift it down, hit trigger, and select new year and model. So I have a 95 GT, but you could scroll down anywhere from, let's go all the way back, let's see what the range is. So you can go from 1984 and go all the way up to 1999. But in our case, we have a 1995, and it says VIN number 10. So what that means is you would go and look at your VIN number, and you would look at the 10th digit in. So for me, from 1FAL P42T5 S is going to be my 10th digit in, and you would go ahead and select that one here, which is already 1995 car, Mustang GT, and the 10th digit of my VIN is the letter S, so I'll go ahead, hit trigger, and then I can go through all the 95 models on here that have a S in the 10th digit of the VIN number until I find the one that I'm looking for. As you can see, Econoline, Explorer, F-Series, bunch of F-Series. There was even a 7.5 liter F-Series. I think that was the big gas V8 motor from back in the day. Grand Marquis, Mark 8. Here we have Mustang for 3.8 liter if you had a V6 Mustang in 95, or if you had an automatic V8, but I had the manual V8, which we have here. So I will select that one, but you have Mystique, Probe, Ranger, Sable, I don't even know that one, Taurus. I think the Taurus, let's see if I can find the show, because that was there it is, a 3.2 liter show. What was that, for 95, was that the Yamaha V6? And you have a 3.8 Taurus, 3.8, I think that's for California cars. Thunderbird supercharged manual transmission, Thunderbird supercharged automatic, very cool stuff if you have one of those. Town car, Tracer, I don't even know the Tracer, and then the Windstar. I don't know the Villager, I do know the Windstar. So we'll come back up to Mustang. And I have a 95 Mustang 5 liter manual transmission, so I will then hit trigger. And there we go, it's set up. So then I will, since I already had it set up, if I just set it up again to show you, I'll hit trigger again, and now we can go to diagnostic data link, PCM powertrain control module, hit trigger again, diagnostic test modes, and here are all the different test modes. Key on, engine off, output cycle self-test, key on, engine off, wiggle self-test, which I believe you're wiggling connectors to see which ones are, and if you have any faulty sensors or whatnot or connectors, but I need to research that more because I'm just getting into learning how to use one of these. Key on engine running timing self-test, key on engine running cylinder balance self-test, key on engine running idle speed set self-test. So to get the RPMs to maybe stay consistent at idle, again, I need to learn all of these things. Key on engine running wiggle self-test, so another one of those. So for the key on engine running, you're going to want to make sure your wires are well out of the way of the serpentine belt and any other components that will get hot while your motor's running. So for this test, we're going to do key on engine off, output cycle self-test. We'll hit trigger, and then you will be prompted hit start, which is right above the number 3 key. So everything's out of the way, so all I have to do is go ahead and hit start right here. Turn ignition off, turn ignition on, press trigger to begin. Let's go ahead and kick it off, kick it back on. Step out of the vehicle. Then we can press trigger to begin, and here we go. So let's run the fan right now. I just heard it prime the fuel pump. And I think it did a few other things while I was at it. Okay, so we have 111, 10, and another 111. So that was, it says fast, key on engine off, codes completed, so we'll hit stop. So we have a 111, it says system pass. We kick it over to 10, separator code, and then a 111 also says system pass. So when I ran this same test before, I got a few more codes, and I'll show those on the screen here. You can hit store. I guess that'll save it to the scanner. And then start will just restart another one. I wonder if I hit fast, what does that do? Slow. So that's checking the codes with the key on, engine off, powertrain control module test mode, and that's what I got. So I definitely have a check engine light on, so I'm gonna have to dig deeper into this. Maybe the car, maybe on OBD1 the car, you know, forgets the codes, you know, once it's been off for a while. You know, I didn't have the battery disconnected for any amount of time, so it should still have the code stored. You know, I'm still trying to learn how to use this tool, which, you know, I know barely anybody has access to, but if any of you have any experience with this or could link me to somewhere where I could read up on this, because I'm struggling to find info on using this test tool, this NGS scanner unit. If you have any info online, you let me know in the comments below. Link me to it so I can learn more how to use this and be able to utilize it for my OBD1 Mustang.